Hey everyone, it's me, Doomlink, and I'm in trouble. I need to hurry up and get ready. I could have technically joined this quest with this loadout, because this is a loadout that is effective almost irrespective of what I choose to hunt, but I'd like to... Okay, we'll go Insect Glaive. That's what I was hovering over, and indeed the first choice is an elementally appropriate weapon. You don't know what we're fighting, but I'm actually going to have that be a little bit of a surprise for you. It's a monster that's weak to fire. Make your guess. And, you know, if you get it right, there is literally nothing I can do to reward you. Just be impressed with yourself at your own... Actually, you know what you can do? If you're on YouTube, you can literally mouse over the timeline and get a video preview of what is to come. So really, it wouldn't be all that impressive if you were able to see what the hunt contains. What objective awaits Doomlink in the near future. I have not yet joined up, and you know what, I said I was in trouble. The reason why I said I was in trouble was because I thought that there was every possibility that these guys would depart without me, but there is a little bit less of a risk of that sort of thing happening when you are Hunter Rank 999. I do have a beverage today. It is not Trappist Rochefort, which is what this glass is designed to, you know, be used with. I will have Trappist Rochefort in the future at some point. I haven't had it in a long time. But what I instead have today is a beer that I can't very easily demonstrate to you for the reason that my webcam image is at this stage flipped. I don't really have a solution for that. Well, I do, but I couldn't be bothered doing it. Relax, coffee, I'm here, shut up. I'm not a leecher, okay? It's just I couldn't take time to do this while you guys were waiting to go. I don't think you would have very much appreciated that. This beer is a lovely beverage entitled Death by Snoo Snoo. It pictures, or it features, an image of 3 dead skeletons with their pelvises shattered, and they seem pretty happy with themselves, and one of them is even smoking. One of them has a spiked club, which may indicate that they are rather, you know, primitive, because it is rather natural that human beings engage in what is referred to here as snoo snoo. This is what the can looks like. It is an imperial stout by Mountain Culture. It is 12% alcohol by volume. It has been a long time since I last had an imperial stout. I'm not one typically to drink beer out of what we in Australia call tinnies. Tinnies? How repulsive is that? You wonder why I don't have much respect for Australian culture. Tinnies. Oh, you want to go get a tinny, mate? Fucking absolutely embarrassing. But that's Australia. It's been a very long time since I last had an imperial stout. Much better than a standard stout. Oh, this is going to be absolutely divine. I should have eaten dinner before this. I'm actually kind of hungry, to be completely honest, but that's alright. I am drinking out of a Trappist Rochefort glass, and, you know, the Trappist monks do engage in fasting, and while they are fasting, they do consume heavy beer. So that's what I'm going to be doing today. And I'm bloody excited for this beer because I haven't had an Imperial Stout in so long, and it is one of my favourite styles of beer. So, bottoms up. Not literally, please don't do that. It's very ill-advised, but I'm ready for this. Very different to the last Imperial Stout that I had. This is alright, this is good. It is one to be enjoyed very slowly. I don't really have a good place to put my glass. It's a very wide base. Sorry guys, I haven't been contributing to the hunt. How naughty of me. Yeah, hoping the recording is fine, it should be. Fenna, coffee, and ice. I'm coming, guys. Don't worry. It's good to be, back on the Imperial Stout. There have been a very small number of occasions where I have consumed this style of beer on camera. I seem to recall my most... Well, I think the first time I consumed it on camera was during the Breath of the Wild Let's Play. 2.5 years ago, 3 years ago, something like that. And that was out of my Maredzu glass, which is now broken. Well, it was shattered and destroyed quite a long time ago, but it has been immortalized in my recording, or whatever part that would have been. It was, I believe it was the first live recording that I did of Breath of the Wild, where I was on camera, so... Yeah, it was somewhere in that Let's Play. Oh, this is, I do believe, the event. Also, hello, Ghastly Tal. But yeah, based on that damage, I would hazard a guess and say that this is probably the event. Will I settle for 2 colours? The answer to that question is an unequivocal no. Because I know how to use Insectlave and get all of my colours. I have not allowed myself to be so babied by the game's Extract Hunter art that I am myself unable to get all of the colours. I'm a big boy. I know how to do it. Well, I did spend the whole of Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate doing it on my own like a big boy, so yeah, that always helps. I'm contributing, guys. Maybe I could actually contribute best by going for at least one mount. I do have Mounting Master on this set. The only reason why I have Mounting Master is not to try to recreate the experience of 4 Ultimate Insectlave, for that is impossible. It is rather to, at the very least, get off one decent mount fairly quickly. And generally after that I don't even bother. See, like, that's fine. That was a lot of hits, but it's tolerable. It wasn't totally unreasonably slow. But without Mounting Master, it does become totally unreasonably slow to even get the first mount. Compare this to Rodeo God from 4 Ultimate, where you could literally get, I believe, it could have even been 1 hit, but let's just say, to be conservative, 2 hits on the first mount, and then it was like 3 hits for the second mount, and then I think it increased in increments of 1 each time. Something like that. It was just ridiculous. Totally unreasonable. And very, very much out of balance. Rather shockingly, I did just go through a full triple colour, or Golden Man as they called it in the past. They likely still call it that. But, things have changed. You're probably not allowed to just default and call it Golden Man anymore. It has to be Golden Person or something like that. Again, times have changed. But, yes, in that entire time I did not get Extract Hunter up, but I now have it, and so we're under control. I don't have to freak out anymore. I probably should have used my small Westvleteren glass. The little one that I previously used to consume something out of it. What did I last drink out of that thing? On camera. I don't even remember. It was something for sure. It was certainly something. I think if it were not something, then that would be cause for confusion. Are you joking? I don't even want to discuss what just happened. That was just absolute stupidity. I'm not saying I was being stupid. I'm saying both the monster and the game were being stupid. I don't need to brook that kind of utter, inexplicable nonsense. Utterly inexplicable nonsense. That's how you speak English, Doomlink. Thank you for the short tutorial. Let's now move on. What was I saying? Yeah, I should have used my little Westvleteren glass, the little thing, to drink this Imperial Stout. It feels a little bit excessive to use this this big glass, but I suppose I do drink an even heavier beer than this one, which is, in fact, Trappist for 10 out of this very same glass. And, you know, it's not an issue, so there you go. Maybe it's time to man up, Doomlink. Just take a big swig. No, I will be drinking it slowly, for this beer did cost me, like, a lot of money. So, it's very... No! Shit, you can't fucking win with these bloody ice blocks, can you? I'm not going to say that I should have been healed. It's just, you know, typically one does come to expect that sort of support, but that's only because I've become a little bit spoiled by the community. I never expect to heal, or at least I didn't before I was constantly being healed. So really that was a perfectly reasonable death. I'm happy with that. Yeah, starting a new Monster Hunter tile is not something that I enjoy doing very often. There was a period of time where I was very much turned off by the idea of continuing in the Monster Hunter series. This was around the time 4 Ultimate came out. I was very turned off by the idea of continuing through the Monster Hunter series because I'd played so many games already by that point. And it is such an arduous process to go from literally nothing to G rank and having like options to choose from when you want to hunt monsters, which is really what I'd become used to. When you know just how much time you have to put into the game to get to that point, you are all the more overwhelmed by having to start from nothing. And when I started to fall out of love with the series, I really did struggle with that. I didn't recover my true love for the series. I guess my willingness to sit down and start afresh in a new game. Interestingly, until World came out. The reason why I felt rejuvenated when it came to that sort of thing, through the release of Monster Hunter World, was because for the first time, I'd actually found a community of people to play with. Prior to the release of World, so this would have been, you know, late 2017, I joined the Discord group for the Teamwork podcast, the old Monster Hunter podcast from Social Dissonance, and among others, of course. You had Nick, Christian, and Nuxella. And, you know, I used to watch that podcast, you know, before it was even a video podcast, actually, back when it was still an audio podcast. And I found the Discord at some point. You know, I'd been on Discord for a long time even then, and I don't know, I must have had a sudden stroke of influence, or stroke of inspiration, is what I mean to say. And I had a look to see if they had a Discord, and they did. It was either through their Twitch account that it was linked, or somewhere else, but I was able to join it. And yeah, I had found a group of people to play with, and in the lead up to World, we joined Hunsterverse, and we played Portable Third and Freedom Unite, and then when World came out, I played with that group. And it just revitalized me. It allowed me to appreciate Monster Hunter anew, because again, when you go from being a solo hunter, we're talking literally only playing with the community by yourself. That's how I always did Monster Hunter. I'll expand on that later, but when you go from that experience to playing with an actual group, it completely changes everything. Now, there are a lot of people who have not really experienced Monster Hunter outside of what I just explained, and that is playing with a group. Some people don't know what it's like to only play with the community. I'd like to think that this video series, the Doomlink's Life Hunt series, and also the Doomlink's Random Hunt series that preceded this series that I'm recording right now, that one was from 2015 up until 2019. It didn't really end, but it sort of did end, because this rather replaced it. I hope that you'd be able to see a little bit of what it's like to hunt only with random people, if you're not used to it, through having watched those series, but it is an entirely different experience. Now, when I said that I'd expand upon that, what I meant was, I haven't only hunted with people that I don't know, but they're not an organized group of people. You know, I've made friends I think only in Trine 3 Ultimate. I didn't make actual friends on Monster Hunter outside of those two games because communication in the 3DS games and the PSP games was so crap that you were unlikely to form good relations with any person that you were hunting with randomly. But I did indeed do that in 3 Ultimate and absolutely Tri. Tri was basically that. It was playing with the community and it was amazing. But you know, I'd hunt with a group of people for a period of time, but it was not the same as having a group of people outside of the game that you would, you know, you'd wake up in the morning and you'd go, well, let's jump on, see who's here. Oh, we're all here. Let's jump in a voice chat and see what we want to play. And it was just, that's what it was like. And it was electric on that server when World came out. And the excitement when World came out on that server was ridiculous. There were people just fucking screaming. I got it before everyone else because I'm in Australia. And I had to go to work, you see. I picked it up at like 10 in the morning. They still had to wait another 4 hours or something in the US. And yeah, I played it for I think an hour or two before they did. And then I went to work. And I remember sitting in this Italian restaurant eating my lunch before work. And just watching the chat absolutely fucking explode in the last, 60 seconds leading up to the release of Monster Hunter World. And yeah, it was good memories, And again, I do have to say, as much as I decry Monster Hunter World in all its series-destroying miasma of shit, I had a very pleasant time playing that game for the first few weeks of its release. I'd say for the first full month, I had a good time. And it was memorable, and I have very fond memories of it. So, yeah. And crazy as it sounds, given the opinions that I voice about it, it is the game that revitalized my interest in the series. But I wouldn't thank the game for that. It was outside the circumstances of World that led me to feel like I wanted to play Monster Hunter properly again. Properly, actually make new characters and do all that. I'll actually go further into that, but yeah, it was to do with hunting with a group for the first time, not because I was playing Monster Hunter World. As far as making new characters, what I mean by that is making new characters in Portable Third and Freedom Unite. I had lost my original save files for Freedom Unite and Portable Third, I think I lost them around 2012, and that fucking frustrated me. I did not play those games again until 2018. I didn't touch them. So for a number of years, I only played Tri, 3 Ultimate and 4 Ultimate. Those were the only games I played. And when I actually felt like making a new character again, I just felt, that sense of revitalization, I was willing to give Portable Third and Freedom Unite a proper go again, and I did that. And I found that extremely rewarding. And then I went and did Monster Hunter Freedom 1, I opened the doorway to first generation for myself, and I've never looked back since. That has been one of the best things that I've experienced in Monster Hunter in recent years. It has been getting used to... look at this. Do you see what I'm talking about? This is why I worry about these sorts of people. Now, at the start of this recording, when I said, I'm in trouble, I need to make sure that I get ready as quickly as possible, because there are 3 people ready to go, you were probably thinking, Doomlink, you're being so paranoid and dramatic. Like, come on, they're not going to leave without you. That would make no sense. And then I even contributed to that whole perspective by saying, well, it's fairly unlikely given that I'm hunt rank 999. Even with my hunter rank taken into consideration, these people are gone. They're gone. And do you know why? It is because they are so desperate to hunt immediately that no consideration is given to that 4th player, because why would that actually factor into anything? It's all about their personal experience, the speed at which they can receive gratification from the video game that they're playing. It's pathetic, and it's on camera. You see the evidence for yourself. You know, what would I have taken? 2 minutes to get ready for that quest? Unreasonable. Fuck that guy, fuck that Lord Zor guy, let's just go. And you know what? These 2 people, Keji and Maruko, assuming Goldminer was the one who posted, they would have readied up, knowing that there was the risk of Goldminer departing, because that is always a risk. And now that it's happened, even if they're not happy with the fact that I was left behind, they're not going to leave. Why would they leave the quest? They're already in the quest. They don't want to have to exit out of the quest and then find another room or whatever, because that would mean that they'd be spending X amount of time outside of hunting, which is what the purpose of any of us coming online is. We are here to hunt and to enjoy the process of hunting, so there is no real incentive for them to leave the quest. So the point is that I've been left high and dry by people who are so inconsiderate that, quite frankly, they not only do a disservice to the community and the future of this game, but they represent humankind in the worst possible way, in behaving in the way that they do. So, yeah, fuck these people. Sorry, I haven't been reading the chat. I need to properly read that. It hasn't been in my field of vision adequately. Your Switch dock isn't working, Vernon. Well, I'm sorry to hear that. Well, that's awesome, Ghastly Tile. If you're ever lucky enough to find a person who, just a random person who teaches you how to play Monster, that really is a great thing, because it's a community experience at that point. It's the community teaching you how to play, and it really used to be that way. And I used to contribute to that back in Monster Hunter Tri. Part of the reminiscing of Tri that I engage in is telling the story of how I started in Freedom Unite, and while I wasn't, I didn't have everything figured out, but I was better placed to figure out what was going on in Tri than a lot of people who had started playing Tri, because they had never played a Monster Hunter game before. And so, while I was learning how to play Tri, and I was learning faster because I did have a skill set to work on, as established in Freedom Unite, I was able to help out a lot of people in Tri when that came out. And I saw that I wasn't the only person doing that. The Monster Hunter Tri online experience, and I don't mean to turn this into a big Monster Hunter Tri conversation, but it was not unusual in the past for the community to really come together and support people who perhaps didn't know what they were doing in the game. Now, I go into games like 3 Ultimate, and I'm finding people who have absolutely no business being in G rank, because they've just been carried into the end game of whatever Monster Hunter game it is that I'm playing, whether it's this one here, whether it's 3 Ultimate. I'm sure that it is the case in any Monster Hunter game these days. There are people who very irresponsibly just carry people through the game, make no attempt to teach them how to play, make no attempt to impart any amount of knowledge on those people, and in so doing, they demean the gaming community of Monster Hunter by essentially launching clueless people into the endgame. That's not how you create a community. A bunch of people literally with nothing left to do in the game as far as they're concerned, because you have to understand a lot of people who reach the endgame of Monster Hunter don't know what to do anymore. You really think it's going to be good for the community to put a bunch of people who think they have nothing left to do in the game, who simultaneously don't know how to play the game? Like, do you think it's good to put them there? I don't think so somehow. You have to teach them at least. Give them something to latch onto. It's just fucking annoying. The point is that the community has devolved to the point where those days of old, when the community used to actually take responsibility for its own quality and its own standing, those days are gone. They're over. And here I am playing with people now who are willing to depart without the hunter rank 999 guy, because the 999 guy hasn't joined up on the quest within less than 2 minutes of having joined the room. They're willing to depart without that person. That's what we've come to. That degree of selfishness and mindlessness. It's not the sort of decision that was come to with any degree of careful consideration. It's just some guy sitting on a fucking couch or in a chair going, I'm gonna depart now. Like, that's basically what you're dealing with. So, and I don't mean to... It's not that I feel offended that I was left behind. What I'm offended by is the stupidity that led to that eventuality. It was the fact that a person is so incapable of functioning as a human being that they thought that was a good idea in that moment. It's incredible. I'd love to meet them. I'd love to sit down and have a conversation with them and actually apprise myself of just how fucking inept they are as human beings on this earth. I'd love that. I did notice that Vernon had come online. You know what, Vernon? Let's make a room, hey? I might be able to filter out a little bit of the bullshit if I've got you at my side. If anyone wants to play, do let me know. I'm going to spend all night drinking this bloody Imperial Stout. I have to take it slowly, it's so heavy. There was a time when I was a little more accustomed to heavy beer, but I haven't had them in a long time, and... You know, I recall my original Skyward Sword Let's Play, which doesn't exist anymore. Imagine like a Doomlink, basically full torso image, swinging around a golden Wiimote and nunchuck in Skyward Sword while drinking heavy Belgian beers. That was the original Skyward Sword Let's Play. Back then, I was neck deep in heavy beer, but recently I have not really done that. When you get used to drinking spirits, for example, much lighter. You know, heavy alcohol, very heavy, but very light, because it's just, you know, it doesn't have the weight that a beer has. Anyway, if you don't get it, you don't get it, so I won't get into it. I will call it G rank, which is, interestingly enough, not sufficient when it comes to discouraging people from posting high rank deviants. You can type G rank and people will still post high rank deviants. Idiots, quite frankly. Absolute idiots. I will set the HR minimum to 13 so that I don't block out too many people here. There aren't, you know, a huge number of people playing. But yeah. Whenever you're ready, Vernon, I'm here. I've had my little rant about the community. It's over. Thanks, Doomlink. Some people do come for the rants. It has to be said, it wouldn't be a Doomlink livestream without a Doomlink rant. But I'm not out to rant about things. I basically give myself to the situation, and if something stupid happens, which it often does, I can't help myself. It's time to go. I have to... Well, when I say it's time to go, I mean it's time to let loose and just start ranting, because, I don't know, it's who I am. Sorry. If a person is willing to sit down and just basically talk and not stop talking, in other words, someone who wants to record video content while playing video games, you know, there's every likelihood that such a person would be willing to talk about their opinions ad infinitum, irrespective of any person's level of interest, or whether it be a lot of interest or lack thereof. Of course, given that I'm Hunter Rank 999, perhaps that will make me an attractive option among the other rooms. I don't know if Vernon's got a quest in mind. If he does, then that's great. Feel free to post a quest on the board, Vernon, with the assumption that we will have a minimum of 3 people. I don't think we'll have to wait very long for at least 3. I'm happy to depart with 3, but I might at least wait a little while for a 4th. We'll just see how things pan out. It was on the way out before then, Ghastly Tile, but definitely World was the nail in the coffin for the Monster Hunter community, because then the already declining community then had the floodgates opened to people who would know a Monster Hunter if it smacked them across the back of the fucking head, which literally is a death sentence for any community that really is based around a niche. You know, you can argue about World until the cows come home, but what I just iterated is, as far as I'm concerned, thoroughly incontrovertible. Thoroughly. What was the monster again? Fuck. It'd be great if I could internalize these sorts of things. By the time Vernon types it in the chat, I will have already made my way to the quest board to see what it was, but... 2 Garuga. Okay. I've been playing a lot of first gen in my own time, so it's, you know, right at home for me. Although it's not going to be quite as miserable as first gen Garuga. Thankfully. And what would I like to use? I wouldn't like to use Lance, no. Strike that from your mind, Doomlink, please. Perhaps Greatsword, but that wouldn't be very enjoyable. Check chat. Yes, thank you. I knew you were going to post it, and it's good of you to do that, but the thing is, there is enough of a delay that I will actually seek to inform myself before I wait for you to do it, in the time that it will take for you to try to help me out. I'll say hello to this person. What is this? Pengyanat. A person who has taken it upon themselves to completely ignore the fact that there are already 2 people here, likely with a plan in motion, and this person has gone and posted their own quest. And can we just... I'm not even going to comment on it. It's self-explanatory. What just happened is self-explanatory, and I'm not even going to say anything. Anyway... I think my sentiment and my general opinion about what just happened is fairly clear, and let that be sufficient, please. That way I don't need to dwell on it. And that's literally what I'm dealing with in this place. Oh, that's my... Yeah, let's do this. Good idea. Blunt Greatsword with the Plesioth Waveblade. Here we go. Look at this. Is this not an exciting setup? Look at this. So we've got Bludgeoner, of course, and Mind's Eye. In conjunction with this. 385 raw attack. This is before I've even gone into the hunt, which is when Bludgeoner damage is applied to the attack value. And 45 element. This is going to be good. Stop it. So this is a Huntathon, which means that... And the reason why they put 2 there... traditionally in Huntathon quests they would only put 1 monster there, and the reason why is... Oh. Never mind. It must be a case where... Hold on. No. Don't tell me. Is it actually a Huntathon, or is that just what they've called this quest? With no actual relationship existing between the name and the system of Huntathons. So basically a Huntathon is where you hunt the monster, it dies, and then it respawns, and it essentially does that infinitely until the end of the time limit. You do need to deliver the Port Pass ticket before time runs out, but you can essentially hunt an unlimited number of the monsters included. I don't know if, because it says hunt 2 Garuga, it is technically true that a Huntathon does require a minimum of 2 monsters to be killed in the Huntathon, but I don't know, I'm slightly confused. Looks like we've got another person. I'm ready to go. It's not a 10 monster quest. So what, it's only 2? That's really confusing. Oh, I've streamed first gen Ghastly Tile a number of times. Most recently, 1 month ago. Doomlink's Life Hunt's 158. In Monster Hunter Freedom. As far as doing live streams of PS2 Monster Hunter, that will be a little difficult because there is not a large community of people playing PS2 Monster Hunter. But if I feel that I can get a reliable group to play with, I will do that for sure. Without a doubt. Now, when I do say PS2 Monster Hunter, I am referring to Monster Hunter 1 and Monster Hunter G. There is no online functionality as of yet in the emulated version of Monster Hunter DOS. The time will come, but that time is not now. Yeah, so Monster Hunter Freedom is the last of the first-gen games. It is essentially, well, what it was intended to be at least, was a portable version of Monster Hunter G. It is not exactly the same as Monster Hunter G, there are definitely notable differences. The chief difference being the lack of a village, the lack of a city, it does have a village, the lack of a city, namely Mindgard. Mindgard was the city of the first-gen Monster Hunter games. It was present in Monster Hunter 1 and Monster Hunter G, but it was not in Freedom. Freedom had its online quests take place in a tavern behind where the Elder sits, in Kokoto. That little room did not exist in Monster Hunter 1 and Monster Hunter G. You would connect to a separate city mode, which was the case in Monster Hunter 1, Monster Hunter G, Monster Hunter DOS, and Monster Hunter Tri. Those were the games where you had a separate city mode that you'd actually have to go to and specifically log into. And it was nice. I liked it a lot. I absolutely love Mindgard. Mindgard has that just delightful classic Monster Hunter feel. It's one of those things that you can go back to these days and just really enjoy. I love the layout of it. There are so many things, to be completely honest, it does have to be said, that these days there is very little understanding outside of Monster Hunter World, because World brought it back, of just how Alpha Team games are. Alpha Team Monster Hunter games were, you know, separate city mode with basically no connection between G rank and village. Well, I suppose I should say high rank and village. And you would have things like your own room in the city that you could upgrade. You know, as you progress through the game, you could go to a better and better room, which they brought back in Monster Hunter World. It hadn't been in the series since Tri. I say all this because so many people haven't experienced Tri these days in the community. It can be said for sure that a large number of people even these days were first introduced to Monster Hunter by way of Tri. But there are still many, many people these days, and it will be the case in the fullness of time that less and less people will have experienced Tri. Less and less people will have experienced Tri. And so less people will really understand what World had brought back, and that was a system that had been present since the very first game. And it really had to do with the Alpha Team legacy that returned in Monster Hunter World. Hello, Simply Rome. I regret to say that I don't remember you, but welcome back if this is not your first time being here. I may as well Psycho Serum. I do know that two of them are here at the same time. That is a lovely looking greatsword. That must be the second Nakako's greatsword. There is a skeletal one that I do actually possess. But that would be the other version. It's not just a reskin. Someone's gonna ping to say, oh, the Garuga's here. I know. I've Psycho Serumed. Well, no one pinged. Very well. But yeah, I do love the Nakako's weapon designs. I don't very much like the monster. But the weapon designs are very nice. Oh, trying to get to the head. Settle for level 2. Oh, God. I might have been able to commit a little more there, but I didn't. That fucking poison tail, of course. This is going to be heavy fucking damage going out to the Garuga right here. I'd love to Brimstone Slash, but oh fine, I'll do it. Hopefully I get hit by the gunner. Come on. No, when I said get hit by the gunner, I didn't fucking mean like that. What a dick. Fucking is he doing crack? He's doing cluster shot on the head. What a cock. Seriously. Well, if you're gonna hit me, you may as well fucking do it now. Here I was expecting him to hit me. At least I was able to get my damage out, but God! The irony of the fact that he only hits me when I'm not in fucking Brimstone Slash. Brimstone Slash is where it actually helps to be hit by the teammate. But anyway, imagine shooting cluster shot on the face of a monster when it's down, thus preventing your teammates from hitting it for damage. You could not be more brainless with a heavy bow gun than that. Excuse me, it's a light bow gun. But yeah, like, it's just... it's ridiculous. He's typing a fucking disquisition in Chinese, which I cannot read. It's probably a list of shouts, I don't really know what's going on, but... yeah. I realise that I'm partially in the way of it, but... whatever. Yeah, cluster shot in multiplayer is not only ill-advised, it's fucking inconsiderate, so don't do that. Probably less... well, no, I mean, pellet will flinch you in place, but cluster shot sends you flying, so... I mean, it'd be a... the only argument that could be put forward for pellet being worse than cluster shot would be that it is in greater abundance. You can have 3 levels of pellet shot and a lot of each individual shot for each level. Whereas cluster shot, you do have a limit to what you can craft. So that guy is out of here. You know what I have to say in response to that? Good. I'm glad that he's not here anymore. I can live without that sort of behavior. Anyway. Panir can post if he likes. I will type P4. Yes. Yes, you can pick. He's very eager. Panir turn, says Vermin. Well. Go for it, man. Whatever you want us to do, well, no. Not whatever you want us to do. If it's not G rank, we're not doing it. And in most cases, when something non-G rank is posted, it is not only high rank, but also a deviant. Which is a little bit like mixing piss and shit and expecting us to eat it. Incidentally, I won't be doing that. What has he put on the board? Oh. Well, I've definitely done this quest before, but that's alright. In saying that, my meaning is that I do this quest all the damn time, but... if it were a choice between a high rank deviant and this, I think I'll take this. And what I mean when I say that is that I'm just glad that it's something that I'm not going to complain about. I technically complained about it by saying I've done it many times before, but it's a damn sight better than something that I flatly refuse to do. That is the point. I will bring a lance, Unless I have a Thunder Blunt Lance that I'd like to bring. I will bring Element for this. I do not have a Thunder Blunt Lance. That is likely to mean that there is no Thunder Blunt Lance appropriate. It's just one of those things. Alright. Well, I will bring the standard lance set. I already had it equipped. Good on you, Doomlink, honestly. We've got the Nah Thunder Lance, which is very appropriate. Longsword gang, yeah right. Not happening. Very appropriate for this hunt, because it is very much focused on elemental damage, and this monster is exceptionally weak to thunder. Let's bring Weakener. Thanks, Mirandalu. I will immediately take you up on your offer to buy follows. Because I can't think of a better way to expand my viewership than that. What am I drinking today? It is an Imperial Stout called Death by Snoo Snoo. That's what the can looks like. It says on the back, to welcome the 2022 Stout season, we have designed a traditional recipe using the ancient legends of Amazonia and a subscription to Cosmo magazine. To pack this Imperial Stout with the luxuriously rich flavors of chocolate and freshly roasted espresso beans, with an ABV that is built like a steakhouse, but goes down as easy as a bistro. Not really, it's quite a heavy beer, and it tastes like it. This mind-blowingly delicious, has my mind been blown, ladies and gentlemen? Today is the first day I've consumed it, so you tell me if my mind has been blown. It says, this mind-blowingly delicious and pelvis-crushing stout, just for the record, and to, you know, ameliorate any possible misconceptions anyone watching this might have, my pelvis has not been crushed as a result of consuming this beer. It's very much intact, and I'm very comfortable at the moment in my pelvis being rather, you know, neutral in feeling and in constitution. Anyway, it finishes as smooth as velvet and is as pleasurable as it is devastating. There is now a quote by Philip J. Fry, circa 2002, which reads, I never thought I would die like this, but I always really hoped. No doubt in reference to death by Snoo Snoo, which is indeed death by vigorous intercourse. It's a good beer, but it's not that good. Anyway. I think Mirandalu was my 5th viewer for that moment, and I don't think he was all that impressed by me going from enthusiastically agreeing to buy follows, followed by discussing death by Snoo Snoo. Look at that range. Sorry, I was very much distracted by what was written on the back of my beer can. So I was unable to contribute to the hunt for a little while there. Damn it. Unfortunately, when Devil Joe does his little walk, it is hard to keep up with him. It's especially hard to keep up with him when I'm being flinched by my teammates, but I am using a lance, so I'm not going to start blaming people for flinching me. As I say, every time I use lance, being flinched by your teammates comes with the territory. You just have to live with it. You can't sit here and start complaining about it. If you're complaining about being flinched when using lance online with a group of 4 people, even 3, the solution is actually to not use lance at all when hunting online. That's what it comes down to. It's not anyone else's fault except yours. Let me rephrase that. It's not anyone's fault except yours. There we go. That's how you speak English, Doomlink. Nice work. Well, I wasn't able to counter that in time. I now have defense down, which is really undesirable. I'm very reassured that I'm dealing lots of damage. Does anyone have a pitfall trap? I do. I'll put one down. That is if he's not leaving. He seems to be leaving. Well, I'll let him leave. And I'll drop a pitfall trap. No one else drop a pitfall trap. It's okay, I've got one and I'm perfectly happy to use it because I've probably got a lot of materials with which to forge another one. Now don't go eating, man. That's a carcass. I don't think there's anything to eat there. But you know what? It will probably make him at least temporarily full. Oh no, he does still appear. I was countering you, fuck. Well, I was bringing up my shield, that is to say. Well, he's no longer exhausted, I suppose would be the word. So, there you go. Fuck. Managed to get a little bit of damage out with that shield assault, but that was not the impact that I was going for. The shield impact leading up to the lance thrust is not especially damaging. And I know this not as a matter of fact, but I would be very surprised if that little shield impact there did any damage. That's what I'm saying. I'm going based on what would logically stand to reason, okay? Sometimes we can speak with authority without actually knowing, without a doubt, whether something is true or not. Although some may avoid that. Are you kidding me? I was just gently touched by his leg as he moved forwards, and I was apparently pinned by that. Sure. I wasn't able to counter that because I had bounced. Fucking hell. The consumption of nullberries is important. I regrettably do not have adamant seeds, though. Come on, do your back hop. I'm not gonna wait until the fucking rapture for you to back hop. Tricky tail. Really? What is with this bouncing with white sharpness? I'm not impressed by it. Not at all. I think it's stupid. I shouldn't be bouncing with white sharpness. I feel like I haven't used my drive Y stone and I'm fighting an apex. That's what it fucking feels like. I do have corkscrew jab, but I did not fucking do that. I pressed my thumb to the circle button. I'm using a PlayStation controller, shut up. I pressed my thumb to the A button and my finger to the R button, and I did not fucking perform a counter for reasons that I simply cannot make sense of. Now, if I'm bouncing at blue sharpness, I can live with that, but at white sharpness, that's an insult. Yeah, right, A-Gaming. Sounds good. It was a good tail cup. Good morning, A-Gaming. I have failed to retain my audience this evening. How's your morning going? I normally wouldn't pay attention to viewer numbers, it's just that when I'm monitoring my chat from my phone, I can't hide it. Normally I fucking hide it because I find it to be bloody distracting. Anyway. I don't really care. I'd rather not know, so that's why. Good work with the pitfall trap, by the way. Nicely done, guys. And interestingly, I was the only one with an elemental weapon. I think Panir would obviously have dragon element, which is still perfectly fine for this monster. There's nothing inappropriate about that weapon choice for this monster. It's just that thunder happens to be considerably better. Nice work, says Panir. Some good news. PlayStation backwards compatible legacy titles will be available to re-download if you bought them on PS3 for free. That's good to know. It just so happens that that's irrelevant to me and my own personal gaming experience. Also, hello Kodoku. Good to see you. I've disposed of the hangers-on and now I've got the actual proper viewers. Very good. Okay, 2 crooks, I'll take them. Thank you. I think I've got a... Someone responded to my Doomlink's Life Once 164, where that guy named Hunter, the one who was really quite special, Ruland HD says, Hunter is quite a specimen. He is. He is quite a specimen. He's a frickin' idiot is what he was. He insulted all of my sensibilities with his mere existence. And I think the same could be said of Vernon, to be honest. Dread King G4. Okay. Sure. Sword. If you want. Now, what would be an appropriate choice of element? Let's not even bother. Let's go with Blast. But what would I like to use that's Blast? I think I already know the answer to that question. No, I just used Lance, stop it. Make better decisions, Doomlink. Let's do dual blades. What Blast dual blades do I possess? If any, I actually don't remember having forged any Blast dual blades. I don't think I possess any. Unless I have the Brachydios ones. No. Wow. Can I forge the Brachydios ones? I wouldn't be opposed to doing so. It just goes to show, even at Hunt Rank 999, there are some things you just don't even bother with. What's that poison shit that I had here? Demon Dungle? I wouldn't wipe my ass with that. So let's try to forge something, shall we? Remember when I mentioned my Dread Queen Raytheon dual blades? Yeah, this is them. This is going all the way back to generations, back to 2015, ladies and gentlemen. Bit of a journey into the past. Well, fuck those dual blades, I'm never making them. I would love to have them fully upgraded, but I am unwilling to actually undertake the task to actually forge them. So I will not do it. Poke mittens, no. Where is the Brachydios stuff? I'm just seeing if there is a higher upgrade that I can take. Looks like the answer to that question is no, if you would like to enunciate clearly, Doomlink. Are you telling me that I cannot forge it outright? This is insulting. Alright, fine. No Blast dual blades for me. I'll choose Blast Gunlance. Fuck it. Do I have a... I do have a blunt blast gun lance. Although this does have, I think, wide sharpness, but you'll see why I use it for blunt. It's because it has a tiny bit of white, a tiny bit of blue, and then I'm in green. So it's appropriate enough, okay? It's appropriate enough. Fine. Yep. What if by chance I happen to post Dread Queen? Well, that would not actually help anyone. It might help you, but it wouldn't help me because I would need to do high rank Dread Queen to level it up. That's the point. And I'm not doing high rank Dread Queen. Not on camera and certainly not in my own time. I'm playing first gen Monster Hunter in my own time. I'm literally playing the Japanese Monster Hunter 1 in my own time, which I would much prefer to do, despite it being fairly rough as an experience. It's not really a leisurely activity. I'd rather do that than hunt fucking Dread Queen Rathian in my own time. If I go back and forth between saying Rathian and Rathian, that would be because I'm trying to break age-old habits established by content creators who speak with American accents. And I use the plural form ironically. It is, in fact, one person to whom I'm referring. Well, I was actually out of range of that. What I do like is that you can very clearly see the range of a roar these days. And when I say these days, I mean in modern Monster Hunter games, okay? As far as I'm concerned, for argument's sake, this is the most recent Monster Hunter game, okay? So if any of you wonder why I might say something that sounds a little bit out of touch, it's because, well, you know, this was the last Monster Hunter game, so yeah. Just letting you know. Do I have experience with the reboot? Yes. Does it factor into any Monster Hunter discussion? No. Not when comparisons are drawn, so yeah. Live with them. Ugh. I just love that nonchalant tail slam. This is a case where dropping sharpness is desirable, by the way. So if you see me dropping sharpness and you're like, hey Doomlink, might be time to sharpen up. No, that's not what I want to do. I'm using Bludgeoner today. And I use this gun lance in conjunction with Bludgeoner for the reason that its sharpness is really pretty bad. Which in this case is very good. If that makes any sense to you, which it should, because I think I've very clearly established that I'm using Bludgeoner, which indeed grants higher damage for lower sharpness. Alright, see ya, A-Gaming. Thanks for tuning in. Fuck off. A very well telegraphed attack, but I suffered from the disadvantage of being unable to do anything about it when it came my way. Ow. Can I go to green sharpness now? The reason why I don't want to shell to lower sharpness is because I do want to at least be building up blast status. I can't very well build up blast status with shelling. I think we would all be in agreement on that point. And if you'd like to disagree on that point, then go for it. Fuck me. I can't control your opinions. If it were possible to control being wrong, imagine where we'd be in this evolutionary cycle that we're embarking upon as human beings. Hey, nice tail cut. I'm going to use a blast dash. Actually, I'm not going to because I don't have any shells in the chamber. Now that they're in the chamber, Well, never mind. I can't blast dash a monster that's running away. Perhaps I could if I were feeling a little more tenacious. But that would be pretty dumb to do it right then and there. In the moment that I was remarking upon the matter, it would have been foolhardy to use Blast Dash. And it was after making a very balanced evaluation of the circumstances that I chose not to use it, okay? I'm now going to use it. And proceed... Oh no, okay, I was about to say, and proceed to be off target with the shot, but no, I did manage to get it off on the leg, which is certainly better than getting it off on fresh air. Can't deny that. You can shoot off his tail. That is true. I remember having previously wondered whether the Glavenus tail cut or tail break was, you know... Let me rephrase that. I was wondering whether the Glavenus tail was a cut or a break. There you go, that's how you speak English. Doomlink, thank you for that. Again, just little mini tutorials on how to communicate in the English language. Very much appreciated, no doubt by all. You know who will never betray me? My YouTube viewers. I love you guys. I love you YouTube viewers. Hey, Twitch viewers, generally speaking, bunch of dicks. Like, really, they don't... Oh. Oh, it was a one feint. Unless someone else died, but I didn't see anyone else die. It's perfectly possible that there were 3 deaths and I was really heavily invested in the hunt and didn't notice the first 2, but, you know, I don't think that's likely. I think that was a single feint. Punir died twice. That dick. That absolute donkey. Yeah, donkey. I didn't even notice it. I was so focused on, you know, using my gunlands and trying not to be useless that it turns out someone else was being thoroughly, or, you know, manifestly more useless than I was. So that's alright. There's always a bigger fish in the ocean, and it also happens that there's always a smaller fish in the ocean. Never forget that. What does Punir have to say about that? Again, asks Sword. Sure. My bad, says Punir. You know what? If Punir says my bad and stays in the room, he earns my respect. Because not only does he show that he's got the wherewithal to give it another try despite his failure, he's also willing to apologize for it. And you know what? That's fucking hard to find. Normally what you'd get is someone just saying nothing and staying, or someone saying nothing and leaving. So, yeah, this guy... Oh. This was not a case of, again, I suppose... Vernon, you've joined an HR8 quest. This is a G rank room. I'm about to write. See, I told you, you can even write G rank and it's just not good enough. It's not good enough and it never will be good enough. Because people cannot read. We can sit here and say until the end of time, oh, language barrier. No! I'm sorry, but this community, whether there was a language barrier factor or not, would not be capable of dealing with, you know, very clear and comprehensive room titles designed to avoid situations like these. Like, people don't think, okay? That's just what it comes down to. People don't think in this community. They never have and they never will. The communities have changed, or this particular community has changed drastically. But the end result, at the end of the day, will always be that they're a bunch of idiots, okay? Why that is, I will not begin to assume. or hypothesize on. It is beyond my reckoning. I'll bring a status set and I will actually go with the Occult Daito. I will have to manually select my Hunter Arts here. Unhinged Spirit 3 and Critical Juncture 3. Resetting food, says Bo. I do usually use the Occult Daito with the standard longsword set, but may as well use it here. If you're wondering why I have an empty 3 slots here, it's because I can't actually make use of it, either on this set or on the longsword set. I do not use the weapons that I use because of the slots that they have. That's why I can very comfortably have a weapon equipped with 3 slots that remain empty. It's because sometimes the armor sets that I use with it just cannot even be improved on using decorations in weapon slots. Most of my Blade Master armor sets do not actually factor in weapon slots whatsoever, and the reason why is because they are designed to be used with more than one weapon. Who would have thought? It will only be by chance that a weapon slot might allow me to get an extra level of a skill. But I will never have an armor set that is hinged upon decorations that sit in a weapon slot, if it's a Blade Master armor set. Go, says Sword, you fucking miserably retarded person. If you can't read English, engage the services of Google Translate. Vernon said very clearly in the chat, resetting food. Actually, having said that, he did typo it. So, yeah. Go. All set. You know what? You can fucking relax. I am filled with a material temptation to remove you from the room for being so ready to hunt. I mean, I don't know, maybe he's only got... Admittedly, he's Chinese, he might have a curfew to follow. You know, he's only got an hour to play. So, maybe that's why he's so antsy. Maybe that's why he's so ready to go, but as far as I'm concerned, he can leave that attitude at home. I suppose he doesn't have Monster Hunter Online anymore, so he can't go and dress up in a bikini and, you know, play to his curfew time with all of his other friends, but, you know, it's not my fucking problem, is it? What are we hunting? A number of monsters. Let's find out where the first one's located. Over there. It might be Congalala. Hyper Congalala, I think. Or is that the second one? I don't remember. We're gonna find out. It is Hyper Congalala. Hello. You disgusting piece of monkey shit. I hate monkeys, okay? Especially in Monster Hunter. I'm not a fan of primates.
Oh, you're a primate, Doomlink.
Yeah, well. Who said that I liked human beings either? I am a little bit of a misanthropist. But that's another story. You know what? I just came up with a... No, actually I'm not even gonna... No, shut up. I will use Unhinged Spirit to move on from that. But I will wait until I at least reach yellow. Look at that, just crisp far. It actually is prolonged. It's a prolonged fart. Wow. What status? It is poison. It is a Garuga weapon. So it is indeed poison. I'll use Unhinged Spirit, why not? How do you feel about that, Mr. Funky Hairdo? I find it engagingly hilarious that instead of a head break, he's got a hair break. You attack his face, and then you ruin his hairdo. That's hilarious. Whoever thought of that didn't get paid enough. Okay. I'm not saying that you have to be, you know, taken advantage of by your employer to come up with a good idea. What I'm saying is that he deserved more of a reward than he inevitably got. Because it's a great idea, you know. Destroy the hairdo of the monster. And why does a pink monkey who farts all over the place need to have a hairdo in the first place? Anyway. Punish is crouch carving. That's how you immediately identify an old hunter. You know, someone who out of habit, and I happened to do it out of habit myself just then. I've been very good about adapting to this game, but you know, when you see someone purely out of habit crouch carving, it really does show that they're not a 5th gen or even a 4th gen hunter, really. Technically, crouch carving was still perfectly normal in 4th gen prior to generations, but yeah, you can tell. That's why he's got such a good attitude. He might have died twice. I'm not saying that's so great. But he apologized for it and he stayed in the room. That's why he is so unusually well-mannered. It's because this isn't his first Monster Hunter game, and furthermore, he probably plays older games too. So good on him. That's why he's such a well-mannered individual. Where are we even going? I don't even... Oh, okay. Well, I'm glad that you're all on the same page and you know precisely what we're hunting. Oh, that's right, I'm playing Generations Ultimate. I can actually see what the fucking monsters are. I'm not playing 3 Ultimate, which is a game that for some reason decides that it is somehow appropriate to hide that information from the hunters. When they're in the hunt, they don't need to know what they're actually hunting, apparently. That's information that you can only see outside of the hunt. And you know what's funny? That's not an oversight. That's Capcom going, no, they don't need to know that. They had an entire quest info section while you're in a hunt that they intentionally left blank, okay? They intentionally left it blank because they decided that apparently we didn't need to know during the hunt. You know what I have to say to that? Fuck you, Capcom. Sometimes the decisions you make are just illogical to the point of physical harm. Like, I feel like I'm hurting by how illogical some of the decisions you make are. I'm not saying that one would engage in physical harm because of a decision made by Capcom. I need to make that very clear. I felt that I made that clear in my clarification. But, you know, I thought that I'd make that clearer still. Because the phrase, to the point of self-harm, would generally indicate... No, I said to the point of physical harm, that's what I said. When I say to the point of physical harm, it may indeed engender thoughts of self-harm, which is certainly not what I was intending to put across to my dear audience. It was neither the intention nor the unintended truth of what I said. It has no basis in reality, let's now move on. It wasn't funny, it wasn't clever, it was nothing of the sort. Let's now hunt a Naga Cougar. He's poisoned. I don't know if Nargacuga has much of a poison resistance. My hope is that he doesn't. And I do have Unhinged Spirit, but I don't know if I really need to make use of it. Ow. Still going with this bloody stout. I mean, you cannot... This is not the sort of beverage that you drink quickly. Unless you have no respect for yourself. If you have no respect for yourself, you can chug this beverage, for sure. But, you know, it's very heavy and it's nice. But, of the Imperial Stouts that I've had, this is not the nicest I've had. I've had nicer ones. But... You know, it's good. It's not a bad beer at all. It's rather nice, but... Oh, fuck. After this hunt, I'm going to see what they rate it on Rate Beer. I use Rate Beer for my beer ratings. It's sufficiently snobbish for me, so I like to check it out. It's so funny. I remember... I think I had a Canadian friend. I know that I had a Canadian friend. I'm not saying that this person may have been an imaginary friend. I just mean that this Canadian friend, I think, told me his favourite beer. And then I sent him a screenshot of the rating on Rate Beer, and it had something like a 10 out of 100. And I was like, well... How do you feel about that? And he was like, these people are the most stuck-up, snobbish motherfuckers I've ever seen. I'm thinking, well, look. My experience fairly accurately coheres with what's written there. So, you know, if your favourite beer is a 10 out of 100, probably says less about them and a little bit more about you. Sorry. I mean, I don't know what else to say. I mean, yes, there is such a thing as subjective taste, but 10 out of 100, that's a 1 out of 10, ladies and gentlemen. It's bad. Like, we can all acquire a taste for bad beer and bad anything, but, yeah. I'm using the Elgato HD60S. That is my capture card. I use the Elgato HD, the original one, for anything that is non-HDMI. I would not recommend using the original Elgato Game Capture HD for HDMI recordings for the reason that, in my experience, it skips through video and it... Okay, so an interesting thing to take note of with old capture cards, and I have a lot of experience with them, you know, I've been using capture cards for 12 years. They used to have syncing issues, okay? Like big syncing issues. Audio and video going out of sync was standard once upon a time. And that was something that was fairly easy to fix in post. If you were editing a video and then uploading it, that wasn't an issue. But if you were to live stream, that was a little bit of a separate thing. 12 years? I think 13 years now. Shit. Anyway, yeah, so aside from that, the fact that the live streams that I would do with the Elgato Game Capture HD, the fact that those would be going... The fact that they would be skipping in the way that I describe was actually to address the fact that it would be going out of sync. So the video would skip to fix any possible syncing issues that would be occurring. If it weren't live, I would guess that it would create a video file that would slowly go out of sync. But the software of the Game Capture HD would make it so that it skips through the video, you know. Technically better than it going out of sync and me being unable to fix that. But not great for live streaming. I got the HD60S, I think, in late 2019. Something like that. I'll throw out a random month. October. October of 2019. No, actually. That's wrong. I think I've got... I think my first highlight that I've uploaded to my Twitch account is from 2020. It's, I believe, March of 2020. And I was still using that Elgato Game Capture HD, so I'm wrong. It was at some point in 2020 when I actually got my HD60S. It has never actually been used to record 60 FPS video. But the point is, you want something that is well designed. You want something that has good build quality, something that you know software-wise and hardware-wise is solid. If you're going to be recording live streams with a game capture of any kind. Like any sort of capture card, it needs to be well designed. Because when you're live, even with a perfectly functioning capture card, you're going to run into issues. Live streaming is hard if you are desperate to have it be perfect. There will always be snags and just random issues that appear. Pania, please. Random issues that appear. I have to tell you that even this capture card has issues sometimes. You know, it was fairly expensive to get, so I would not cheap out on a capture card. My recommendation would be to spend as much as you can possibly afford if you want a capture card. Do not cheap out, please. However, if you are not live streaming and you're just producing videos that you're willing to edit, that's a little bit different. Back in the day, I was using, well, let's not talk about the days of the easy cap. The easy cap is that's from a time that would be better off forgotten. You know, you had the Dazzle, you had the Hopage HD PVR, you had, you know, there were a few things that existed. You had the Roxio. I had a Roxio. It was a standard Roxio. It wasn't very good. But because my computers that I had in the past were so bad, so terribly incapable of really doing anything, I wasn't really able to have a video feed going through the computer that would then be recorded with the computer. I had to have all recording take place outside of the computer, outside of the box. So I actually had an AverMedia Game Capture HD, and I would have been using that when I started my Random Hunts series back in 2015. That was very good because it would record directly to a hard drive, and the hard drive really was all you needed. As long as you didn't connect to something like a really slow USB thumb drive, you were fine. It would run perfectly and it would give you a very good video file at the end of it. And that's what I needed, and that's what I used at the time. And then I upgraded to an HD2, AverMedia Game Capture HD2, and used that for anything that used HDMI, and then for anything that needed component, I would continue using the HD1, because for some reason component looked like shit with the HD2. I found that out particularly with PS3 games, because that was the main system that I would use component with. You know, so I was doing my old Demon's Souls Let's Plays with the original HD even when I had the HD2. So, yeah. Not that you really ask for all that information, but it's a point of conversation, isn't it? Let's use Unhinged Spirit. I don't think that this... I was about to say, I don't think that this Mizutsune is long for this world, and it did not even survive the sentence being uttered. It is dead. Goodbye, Mr. Mizutsune. This beer just goes on and on. It's like the magic pancake, but the liquid version. What is the capacity of this? This must be... Oh. Well, this is 4.7 standard drinks. Australian standard drinks. Good to know. What is the size of this? Half a litre? Yeah, half a litre. Okay. It's a tall can. If you're wondering why I'm using this glass, I don't know if you can really see this. But you may see 3 colours. Or rather 3 separately expressed colours that are all the same. The rim and the writing on the glass, the head of the beer, and the rim of the can. It's all the same colour. And I knew that it was going to be the same colour. So, that's why I chose this glass. I wanted that nice dull gold look to match the head of the beer, and to match the can. That's what happens when you're a beer enthusiast. You care about things like that. Well, more like an alcohol enthusiast. I'm not specifically partial to beer. Well, there goes Paneer and Sword. I don't know what happened. I guess it was because it was a long hunt. Their curfew has begun, you know. It's time for them to go to bed, like good little boys and girls do in China. Glory to Mao Zedong and whoever else. But anyway. We shall patiently wait for people to replace them. I do not have mega pickaxes for a reason. That is because I am not in need of any mineable materials, at least not as far as I'm aware. The sun also wyverns. Okay. Let's do that. Yeah, look, it's always worth saving up. Some people just don't want to save money. That's what it comes down to. A lot of people want to get something that they can reasonably get within a single paycheck or something like that. Don't do it. Well, if you're paid well, then it's fine. But if you're not paid especially well, or you've got big expenses, in most cases people have big expenses, you know, they've got rent and other things, you know, some people might have a car, which sometimes can be very expensive. It depends. The point is, we all have different expenses, but we all have to be willing to save up for what we need. And what everyone needs who records videos is a good fucking capture card. You don't want something that's bad, because the reality of recording, especially when it's live, is that things will inevitably go wrong. If things are going to inevitably go wrong with something that's very, very good, if you get something that's average or even bad, you're going to deal with a whole lot more issues, and it's going to become miserable very, very quickly. So my recommendation would be to get the best capture card you can possibly get. And there are technically better ones than the HD60S these days, but Elgato is the way to go. That's what I've found, just a very robust capture card, whether it be the original or the more recent ones. Just, it fucking works. It does the job, and it's reliable. Its imperfections, I think, would be related to USB technology, to be honest, but at least the HD60S has USB-C to USB-A 3.0, whereas in the case of the good old HD, the original HD, mini USB, ladies and gentlemen, to USB 2. Ooh, not good. There's a whole story associated with that I would rather not go on. Let's use Fire Pierce. I think it might not require load up. Let's have a look. I do have a text file that tells me all of this, but stop that. I know that you're spread. That would leave Clear Sky EOS? Yeah, you're the one. Pierce level 5 on the 3rd charge? Absolutely. And I think it also doubles as my heavy firebow, but I'm not in a heavy mood. Heavy is basically normal, but you have to be even more specific about... Well, I shouldn't say normal, I should say rapid. It's basically rapid, but you have to be even more accurate with it. Not only is it literally one shot like a normal shot would be, referring to heavy, keeping in mind that rapid is actually 3 focused arrows. You also need to shoot it in an arc, which requires a little bit of extra accuracy. And it must be said that you have to be in the mood for that kind of thing. I forgot coatings, as usual. Like I said, ladies and gentlemen, I, as a matter of course, forget coatings with my bow. So I'm constantly, invariably, handicapping myself because I'm a fucking idiot, okay? I will readily admit that. Anyway. It's not a huge issue. This monster is not hyper. We'll be okay. We'll get through it. Oh, the traditional deserted island music and everything. Goodness me. Leave me alone, please. We're effectively fighting Ivory Laggy right now. He's starting in this area. He has the Ivory Laggy moveset. So, you know, we can pretend that this is an Ivory Laggy hunt. Takes us straight back to 3 Ultimate. Hey, Vernon, remember your Ivory Laggy horns? Ha ha ha. Not to traumatize you or anything, but yeah, that was a thing that we had to do. I'm enjoying my power shots. It's good to have them again. I don't need power shots to enjoy bow, but I enjoy extra dynamics being added to weapon types. You know, for all the issues I have with World, one of them is not the way the weapons were improved upon. I do like the weapon improvements. So, you know, I'll stop it. I know how you operate. Although that attack is rather different from the Ivory Laggy attack. You can actually see where it's going to go. And it doesn't cover as much ground, technically, as the Ivory Laggy cruise attack. Oh god, well thankfully we did flinch him out of that. Good. Oh, very good. I'm going to aim this down the back, which is the elemental. I completely missed that. I didn't even get close to hitting the back. I didn't even touch the monster with that attack. At least I didn't waste coatings in so completely and utterly failing to hit the monster, but, you know, it doesn't leave me in better stead. I still feel like a fool. I think that flinch may have saved me. It may not have looked as if I would have been in range there, but I certainly was. The range of that attack is nasty. I would even go so far as to say that it is ghastly. Ugh. That attack has considerable width, and it is also as effective as basically the full length of the head of the Laggy. It's not good. To be completely honest, it just looked like Laggy randomly decided to fall over there. From my perspective, there was no obvious attack from a teammate that caused him to fall over. It's just like he fell over. Oh, you're going to Area 11? Okay, let's go and swim after him then. Yeah, I'll go and swim after him, no problem. How bizarre that he leaves through that area. He goes to Area 10, which indeed is not an underwater area in this game, but if this were Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate, he would have gone to Area 11 for sure. So, you know, just a funny point. Areas 11 and 12 do not exist outside of Tri and 3 Ultimate because they are underwater only. Oh my god. I completely forgot that in Generations Ultimate, there is a shortcut from Area 8 to Area 10. Of course, that did not exist in the other games, but it does exist in this game. And it likely existed in Generations too. When I refer to Generations Ultimate, I am including automatically Generations, because it was the high-rank version of this game. They are effectively the same video game. It's just one has additional G-rank content, among other things, okay? It's a case of added content. They are effectively the same game when it comes to changes being made to the series. So I don't need any anal retentive individuals coming in here saying, well, actually, Generations had the same shortcut, Doomlink. I actually happen to be aware of that. But, you know, and for the record, I do not have people coming to me saying things like this. It's just I'm so paranoid about such people that I try to set the record straight to avoid that sort of thing. I don't have a little team of people nitpicking every little word that I say. And thank God for that. At some point this evening, I do need to eat dinner. It is 11 in the evening, and the last time I ate was around 4 in the afternoon. So, I'd like to eat at some point. Stop! I certainly did not intend to turn in that direction. For God's sake. I don't think this lackey's going to last very long. To be completely honest, I'm really surprised that he's lasted this long. This is not a hyper laggy, this is a standard. And he's really survived a heavy beating. Or perhaps we just really suck. Oh, you're using that bow. Back in 4 Ultimate, that was actually an Awakened Thunder bow. That was my Awakened Thunder Rapid bow. I'm fucked. Now, the only reason why I survived was because I actually recovered enough stamina to evade. It was because I didn't have any stamina when that attack went out that I thought that I'd die. But no, I fucking survived. Only because I just barely got the stamina back to make my evasion. Thank God for that. Giant lobster shell. What are you? A plesioth? Fucking... Oh, I'll just go dive in here, go hunt some epioth. Oh, never mind. Oh, okay. It actually feels wrong. It feels deeply wrong to run up to this and not have a diving animation, okay? To some people that would be rather novel, but to me it feels wrong. Where are my epioth? They don't even show them in the distance. What's going on? I'm gonna write to Capcom and complain. Anyway, that bow that he's using is my Awaken Rapid Thunder bow in Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate. I couldn't find a decent rapid bow. Well, maybe I could, but I was so taken by that particular bow that I had to have that be my Rapid Thunder bow, and it requires Awaken, so I have a set specifically for that bow. It looks cool enough. It's called the Hero Bow G, I think. It's cool enough to warrant that sort of treatment, I think. Has its own set. It's worth it. I'll do another hunt or two, just to get to 2 hours. But I will take a trip to the bathroom if you wouldn't mind. I shall leave the coordination of the room to Vernon. He is keenly aware of his responsibilities, for he has already told Player 3 to post. Indeed, it seems that Player 3 does not need to be told to post. He views it to be his inalienable right to do that. And so be it. I will see you all in just a moment. I'm back. No. Move yourself. I don't know. I feel like I was a bit too far to the right there. Anyway, as far as the bow, what is going on? Are we at a standstill? What's happened here? No EX. If you want EX, find a different room. Well, sure. We'll go with that. Again, I've left it in Vernon's hands. He can coordinate as he so desires. Polar... Sure. Second time I've done this in this one recording, which is very interesting considering that I almost never see this quest put on the board. This is Event Ukanlo. It's a very rare hunt. Yeah, and I've had this twice in one recording. Fine. I don't mind. As for which Zelda game had that bow weapon design, I can't even think of what Zelda game had that bow weapon design. Nothing immediately jumps to mind. The hero's bow and the fairy bow, there are a number of different names for it in the Zelda series. None of them really look like that, not that I can remember. So... I really don't know. What would I like to use? I used the insect glaive last time. I'll use... No, I won't use the hunting horn. I couldn't be bothered. Let's just go longsword. Let's keep it simple. Fucking longsword. It's always good to use longsword because I don't actually use it all that often. What I mean to say is that it would never be a bad idea to use longsword, and I will use the Molten Volga. V-O-L-G-A, I think, isn't it? Yeah. As opposed to V-U-L-G-A-R. But, yeah, I don't usually use this longsword. Interestingly, this longsword was my original choice for a G-rank longsword back before Double Cross got an English release. But I changed my mind and decided to use the standard Rathalos longsword for G-rank. Both are perfectly respectable choices. But yeah, I held off on making this one, but later on, I realised that I had all the materials I needed to forge this, and so I went and made it. And yeah, it serves as a happy alternative to the standard Rathalos longsword.
I'm gonna steal a Nulberry.
I'm not especially in need of it. But well, I'm not in need of it, but I strongly desire it. So, that's probably good enough. Enough justification. I'm apparently in the mood to incorporate spirit slashes even when I'm not anywhere near to having a charged gauge. I don't know, I was just in the mood. So yeah, the stats of this longsword are very good. 382, 22 fire, with a decent amount of purple. So it's definitely a raw focused longsword with fire treated as bonus damage, and to be completely honest, that is the best way to treat elemental damage. It should be bonus damage, not your primary damage dealer. Unless, of course, you're fighting monsters that are exceptionally weak to the element in question, which is generally not the case. You know, you do have some standout monsters that are just super weak to the element, but is generally better. I can't do anything about it. Okay, good. He was flinched out of his roar, which is good. But, yeah, it is usually better to go for raw damage first. I'm alternating between using two separate spellings of raw to mean different things. But, yeah, this is a good choice of weapon. The thing is that the standard Rathalos longsword is very good for raw as well. That's a very raw focused weapon also. It happens to be very good for raw, very good for element, but it compromises on sharpness. But not to the extent where the raw capabilities of the longsword are rendered useless through the lack of sharpness. Fuck off. Look at that turn. That covers too much of an angle. I don't like it. I'd like to register my discontent. I have to dive because otherwise I'm not going to get out of the way of any possible, whatever they're called, ice blocks, I guess you'd say. Need to heal up. It is event Ukanlos. He fucking hurts. Very good. Very good knockdown. I will probably sharpen back up to purple, but not if I still have the opportunity to attack. What I mean to say is that I will wait until I'm really not doing anything with the monster before I sharpen up again. Whoops. Again, look at that turn. I can't do anything with it. There's nothing I can do. The only thing I can do is be so fucking hesitant to engage the monster that I'm ready to evade that at any time. You have to be desperately fucking hesitant to be able to evade that, no matter the scenario. Fuck off! I can't believe it. Did I just iframe that? If I successfully rolled through that without any evasion skills, then I think I deserve some degree of recognition. Whatever. What is going on? What is that damage? That was 2/3 of my health. With one fucking ice block that I was actually actively trying to avoid being hit by. But I was still hit anyway. Fuck off. Stupid. Absolutely retarded, quite frankly. I really don't know if I should be putting up with that sort of thing. I do need to consume a max potion, I realise this. It may be a waste because we may fail, but I'm going to assume, I'm actually going to continue forth on the assumption that we will succeed. It's entirely possible. What happened? Did you see that? This host sucks. Ukanlos literally glitched into me. Yes, danger was imminent. Or rather, there was an impending risk that Ukanlos was approaching me, but the point is that he was quite far from me, and I had calculated that I had plenty of time to meander around before being hit, but then he literally teleported into me, so he suddenly sped up into me, which was not helpful for either me or for anyone else. Except for maybe Ukanlos. Good knockdown. Very good. Please flinch him. Whatever. That was good positioning. I'm not saying that I can be entirely credited for that. Whoa! For that good positioning, it was just, you know, a fortuitous circumstance. I happened to be there to take advantage of it. Oh, goodness. No, stop. I can't dive in time. I can, apparently. By way of something akin to a miracle. Well, I can't very well commit, and then, you know... whatever. I'm not using another max potion. There was, of course, in that scenario, the temptation to use a max potion just to get it over and done with and get myself to full health, but... I'm scared to use 2 max potions only to fail the quest anyway. And I will happily express with full candor the fact that I do expect failure, but, you know, there's always the possibility that we'll succeed. It's just that this monster has a lot of health and we've already put ourselves in the compromising position of being 1 death away from failure. So, yeah. I don't know if we'll succeed, but I'll do my best. I'll do my part, and everyone else needs to do their part. And as long as we do that, we might be alright. Might. That is the key word. As included. Good old Akamas. Nice work, guys. Hey, that was a pretty fast hunt, to be completely honest. Getting sub 10, even with deaths taken into consideration, keeping in mind that deaths essentially mean a loss of DPS, we did very well. So, I'd say that was a good run. The Chinese guy is exclaiming his satisfaction in his mother tongue in the chat. Again, I can only assume that this is what it is. Should I keep this can? I probably should, huh? Although it's got a dent in it. What a shame. It's got a dent towards the top. Can I stick my finger in it and fix the dent? Not really. It's got that sharp edge of the opening of a can. I just wanted to pop it in from the inside, but I can't quite get my finger in there. Well, that's alright. I've immortalized it by having it on camera, okay? That'll do. Wow, look at that. I just thought I'd keep it because, you know, I'm a bit of a sentimentalist for things that have dates on it. Or things that have dates on them. And that one specifically mentions the year of 2022. So, you know, it might be nice, but too bad. I think that's actually going to conclude this recording. I have other things I need to do. Hey, I just got a cosmic ticket that I don't need. I'd love to be able to give it to people who might need it, but you have to earn your rares, okay? You're just going to have to live with that. Oh dear. I'm rather lacking in honey. I'll deal with that soon. But yeah, that's it for this recording, guys. I do thank you all for watching. I'll see you when I'm next doing Monster Hunter or anything else you'd like to watch. I haven't really been doing anything outside of Monster Hunter recently. That's not to remain the case. I will do other things eventually. I do thank you all for watching, and I bid you all farewell for now. Bye bye.